The Memoirs of Dr. Antommarchi. Preface. I had not intended for the present to embody the recollections I have preserved from St. Helena, but works are rapidly succeeding each other, in some of which Napoleon is described as a man of a violent temper, constantly irritated and pursuing with base hatred all those who formerly surrounded him, whilst others, arming his own hand against himself, represent him as seeking to terminate at Fontainebleau that most dramatic effect. But their only existence, in the case alluded to, has been in the imagination of the writer who is pleased to describe them. The last moments of Napoleon. In writing the following pages, I have no intention to cast blames or censure upon anyone, but having witnessed Napoleon's last moments, having attended him during his protracted agony and closed his eyes, I think I owe it to the world to relate what I have seen. I was acquainted with the Chevalier Colonna, chamberlain to Madame Mère, Napoleon's mother. His zeal and devotedness and the noble indignation which had prompted him to resign the government of the Abruzzi were known to me, and I therefore felt entire confidence in his honor and integrity, and could have no hesitation in following any advice he might give me. He proposed to me to proceed to St. Helena, and I immediately made up my mind to accept his proposal. I consequently settled my own private affairs, made arrangements to prevent the publication of the posthumous works of the celebrated Mascagni, which I superintended, from being interrupted or retarded by my absence, and prepared to depart. This activity was observed and became obnoxious. Some honest people set to work, and in a short time I was noted as a suspected individual, and had all the agents of the police after me, marquesses, abbés, spies. All worthy souls had taken the alarm. It seemed as if I alone could fire Italy from one extremity to the other. Some threatened me, others directed the attention of the minister towards me. Secret informations, anonymous letters, all were employed against me, but these base intrigues did not affect me. I was going to be attached to the person of the greatest man of the age, to share his exile, to enjoy his presence. Little did I care for that vile tribe of insects that are forever fluttering round the light of power. The police, to whom I was a source of uneasiness, was, however, unwilling to let me go. I was anatomical preceptor at the hospital San Marino at Florence, attached to the University of Pisa, and as such obliged to reside on the spot. I asked for leave of absence. It was refused. I tendered my resignation. It was not accepted. I could not remain and was not allowed to go. At a loss what steps to take, I had recourse to negotiations, but the more I insisted, the more I awakened suspicion. The name of Napoleon filled their minds with terror. Nothing could dissipate their fears. If I enumerated all the obstacles which rendered the return of that great man impossible, the seas, fleets, mountains that intervened between him and Europe, I endeavored to lull their vigilance and security. I magnified those obstacles because they were perhaps already overcome. I was his agent, his accomplice. I deserved to be held up to public animadversion. These fears of the man in office made me smile. He perceived it, turned pale with anger, and seizing the bell rope, "You seem to defy me, sir," said he. "I'm listening to you." "You insult me." "Far from it, sir." "Recollect, sir, that a word, a sign, blank." "I know it." "Your plots, your secret practices, anatomical, your accomplices, the corpses." "You interrupt me, sir, and I will not be interrupted. Yes, sir, neither your plots, your secret practices, nor your accomplices have escaped the vigilance of the police. Everything is known to me, even your most trifling arrangements. In the dissecting room? No, sir. In the ballroom. The vapors. The scenes a la Campbell. Is Colonna still indisposed? Is he coming? What madcap of a woman have you chosen?" I looked at him to endeavor to make out what he meant. "My questions are obscure. You do not understand me. It was I who set that old fool B after Campbell. I'm not to be deceived by your feigned astonishment, sir. You are a blank. Physiologist? A conspirator, sir. However, physiologist and conspirator are one and the same thing. You sigh after the return of the Saturnalia. You regret the time when an executioner stained with the blood of the victims, which his knife had polluted, put on the gown and exercised his share of power. Everybody's now in his place, sir. That time will never return. I was saying, sir, that Napoleon blank keeps all Europe in a state of alarm. Chained, closely confined, he is regretted by the people. Vast oceans separate from them. Those oceans may be crossed. But how can he escape the vigilance of the English? He will deceive them, take them by surprise. Water, air, earth, some new element will assist him. He will recover his liberty once more. I expect anything, but I watch over Tuscany. What is Tuscany to fear? What can happen to it? The very misfortune you desire for it. Do you think that I deceive myself? Do you think that I am not aware of the effect that would be produced if the demon of war appeared once more on the summit of the Alps and called on the people of Italy to arm for liberty? Nothing is to be gained by discussion, particularly with the police. I therefore left this man to brood over his fears and applied to Cardinal Fesch, Napoleon's uncle. I did not wait long before I received the following answer from His Eminence, Rome, 19th of December, 1818. Monsieur Antommarchi, having been requested by Lord Bathurst to procure a surgeon of some fame to be sent to St. Helena to attend the Emperor Napoleon, I have selected you to fill that situation in consequence of the excellent testimonials that have been given to me concerning you, and of the assurance I have received of your ardent wish to devote your zeal and talents to the service of that prince. You will therefore deliver the enclosed letter to His Excellency Lord Berghurst, the British minister at Florence, in order to obtain from him the passports necessary to enable you to proceed to Rome, and from Rome to London through Germany. The sum required for your voyage will be delivered to you here, and the emperor will himself fix your annual salary. You will find here some traveling companions who are going to the same place as yourself. Accept, sir, the assurance of my friendship and gratitude. J. Cardinal Fesch. I delivered to the British minister the cardinal's letter, which contained the original dispatch of Lord Bathurst authorizing His Eminence to send out 4 persons to St. Helena. The minister read it, offered me his countenance and his services, and told me that he should immediately inform the Grand Duke of the intentions of the English government. That communication did not, however, put a stop to the information and insults directed against me. I continued to be watched and threatened, and I even expected every moment to be arrested. My fate, I knew, had been discussed in council. The ministers had assembled 3 times to deliberate upon that grave affair. It had, in fact, been decided that I should be arrested, but the British minister represented the odium that would attach to such a measure, and its execution was suspended, and the matter referred to the cabinet of Vienna, who did not consider my resolution so culpable as the Tuscans had judged it. My resignation was therefore accepted. I received my passports and set off on the 5th January for Rome, where I arrived on the 7th. I was introduced to Madame Mayor, to the Cardinal, and to all the members of the imperial family. Then at Rome, I thought I should not remain in that city longer than the time necessary to receive their orders, and then I should proceed without delay. But His Eminence was deeply engaged in bulls and orthodoxy, in order to be satisfied that the priest who was to accompany me did not err in matters of faith. Unfortunately, Abbé Parigi was a very accomplished man, a man of taste and literary acquirements, and of elegant manners, and one who might have greatly contributed to enliven the tedious hours spent by the emperor at St. Helena. But his determination had displeased certain devout personages, and means were found to prepossess against him the Pope, the Archbishop, and all those who had any influence at Rome. The Cardinal was aware that the Abbé was the victim of calumny, but susceptible, like Caesar. He nevertheless rejected him and withdrew the bill bull from him. A successor to him was now to be found, and that was no easy matter. So many qualifications are required to make an apostle, but grace, which never forsakes the just, inspired His Eminence with the idea that a missionary, knowing enough of theology and physics to instruct and cure the savages of the South Sea Islands, was precisely the man fitted for St. Helena. Tried both in faith and works, such a man would unite every advantage and offer no objections, and such a man ought to be sent. Buonavita was consequently selected and appointed apostolical prefect. After a residence of 26 years in Mexico, Buonavita had returned to Europe and had been successively almoner to Madame Mary at Elba and chaplain to Princess Pauline at Rome. He was full of zeal, but feeble, gouty, and infirm. He could not possibly fulfill the object of his mission. A recent attack of apoplexy had also affected his tongue and almost entirely deprived him of speech. Nevertheless, he did not hesitate to accept the appointment. His wish to serve the emperor made him forget the weakness of his powers. However, as a member of the College of the Propaganda, he could not go alone. Missions in which the line is to be crossed must be composed of at least 2 missionaries. And a young Abbe Vignali, who had some notions of medicine, was therefore attached to Buonavita. Princess Pauline gave her cook, Madame Mère, one of her valets, and thus a little colony was formed. It now remained to be determined whether we would proceed by sea or land, whether we should journey by long or short stages. The emperor was suffering and without a physician, but as a priest was to be sent to him who had lost the use of all of his limbs, it was resolved that we should go at a snail's pace, crossing Germany without changing horses and stopping everywhere, and that we should wait until the health of our apostolical prefect was reestablished.